The major 2 chord, this is another example of taking a minor chord, and a chord that's normally minor, and just making it major, which you can totally think of it that way. Again, you're just taking a normal chord, making it a little bit weird, changing one of the notes, making it weird, but you can still think of it as a 2 chord, okay? And carry on as normal. Oh, some thunder. You can also think of it as a secondary dominant. This is a new term, but not a new concept. The major 3, remember how that functioned as a dominant of the 6 chord? It was like the 5 of the 6. Okay, when you have a chord that's like the 5 of something other than the 1, it's like a secondary dominant. That's what you call it, okay? So the major 3 was a secondary dominant because it was like a dominant of the 6. Okay. The 1-7, remember that? The 1-7 was like the 5 of the 4, secondary dominant. The 2 chord is like the 5 of something. Of what? 5 is the 5 of the 1, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The 3 was the 5 of the 6. 3, 2, 1, 7, 6. The 2 is the 5 of what? 2, 1, 7, 6, 5. We're in a world of 7 notes, right? So 2, 1, 7, 6, 5. The 2 is the 5 of the 5. It's the dominant of the actual dominant. Talk about a secondary dominant. Okay, so this opens up a lot of possibilities, but these possibilities are well understood with familiarity with some of the first concepts I introduced. The 5 chord wants to go to the 1. It's basic, but it's something that grows in importance the more new things you add. 5 wants to go to the 1. Anything you do other than the 1 after the 5 is going to defy expectation to some degree. Even if you go to the 4, which is also a very familiar, a very strong, good cadence, 4-1. The 4 doesn't need to go to the 1 as much as the 5 does, but it's a good, strong cadence, very familiar. Even then, if you go 5, 4, 1, you've got 2 things happening. You've got a 5 not going to the 1, so there's a kind of a, okay, I'm surprised a little bit, 5, 4, but then you've also got the, don't worry, 4 has got it. I'll take you home to the 1, safe and sound. So it's like kind of a stepwise thing going on rather than a direct 5 to 1. So 5, that's 5, 1. Here's 5, 4, 1. Okay. So understanding that as you can do by just, I've said this before, so many songs you've used just 1, 4, 5 in country, folk, blues, pop, various kinds of rock, kids songs, all kinds of songs, just a lot of just the 1, 4, 5 thing. There's so many permutations of that have different feelings, and the more concretely you understand and are familiar with those things, the more you'll understand that the stuff I'm saying, I'm not making it up. I'm just putting words to realities for the listener in terms of how you feel when certain things, changes in chords happen. Okay, so also the 5, 2, 6 is a thing where it's like that works as a surprise cadence because of the relationship between the 6 and the 1, relative minor to relative major. Okay, that's good to keep in mind. Keep in mind also that the 4, if you make it minor, it's going to want to go to the 1, whereas normally the 4 is happy to go to the 1 or somewhere else. But if you make it a 4 minor, it kind of wants to go to the 1. And I maybe already said this, but if you make the 5 a 5-7, add that dominant 7th on top of it, that's a way to make it definitely want to go to the 1. Okay, so with those things in mind, those same concepts are going to be what we're exploring in this video. Okay, so major 2. First, we'll establish ourselves in a key. Let's say the key of C. I'll go 1, 4 a couple times. Introduce the new chord to a major 2, though. Okay, different. The 2 is the 5 of the 5. So let's go to the 5. That works. And 5 is the 5 of the 1, so let's go to the 1. Okay, I'll play that without stopping. Interesting. There are a few things here that we can emphasize a little more. There's some ambiguities that we can remove or exploit in the direction of what's the word? I just blanked on the word. Changing keys, modulation. But we're not going to do that in this video. So let's make a couple things more definite. What's the way of making I'm blanking on words now. The dominant more concretely dominant? Add the seventh. Okay, so let's do that with the G. Okay, so we got this weird chord. When we hit the G, oh, okay, we're definitely going home. It's a 5-7. As soon as you hear that, you're like, okay, the D was just a weird chord. On the other hand, when you do this, we'll make the D a D7 and play the G straight. Different effect. Interesting, right? Because there you're emphasizing that this 5-1 is real. You weren't kidding. This is a 5 of something. It's a dominant of this, and I gave it to you straight. Boom. That's like a 1. Oh, but I guess this is 1. Right. We were just in C not too long ago, clearly established in C, and this is a 5-1. So yeah, we're in C. But it's much more gentle than a 5-1 normally is. If I normally was just playing in C and then I did, you'd be, wow, 5-1, so clear and definite. Whereas in this case, we took away some of the ambiguity in this area, but that made this next transition a little more ambiguous. Interesting. Now let's make them both sevenths. See what effect that has. There you're kind of being tugged around a little more, right? Because it's like, this is a dominant of something. And again, before I play anything, you're hearing this. I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to give it, anything but that is going to feel, you're going to notice it, right? And I'm going to give it you this, which you want. I'm going to give you the chord you want, but I'm going to add this seventh to it that only belongs to a 5 chord. So wait, it's not a tonic at all. It's a dominant of this guy. So it's much more of a dramatic journey that I'm taking you on. You've also got an interesting chromatic melody. Chromatic just means you're playing all the in-between notes. I've used that term before, but that's what it means. So instead of playing a normal scale, which you would characterize as diatonic, it just means playing like as in a normal scale, which is a combination of whole tones and half tones. So you're skipping some notes. That's diatonic movement. Chromatic movement is when you're hitting all the in-between ones. You notice chromatic movement when it happens in a melody. It draws your attention towards it. So listen to it. That's pretty, right? Okay, so what else can you do? Well, let's skip the G altogether. I'm going to go straight from the D7. We're going to skip, yeah, it's the dominant of something, and I'm not going to give it to you at all. I'm going to go to something very normal in the key of C, an F to a C, a 4-1. Right? And now because this D is a D7, it's really left out on a ledge. It's really like, and I want to go here. But we're not, the F has nothing to do with that, buddy. We're in C land, okay? Sorry to disappoint you. We're not going anywhere. There, when you hear that, here, let me play something else before it so the F isn't repeated. There, when you hear the F, it's almost like aggressively normal. You know, it's like normal, but it's like, whoa, I was not expecting that. So that's, now let's make it minor. Remember how minor 4 is a little more dramatic once we go to the 1? That's going to be interesting, right? Oh, that's a little heavier, right? It's got some weight to it as if I mean something when I do it. What do I mean, though? But so music, pretty cool. Lots of options, lots of things you can try. I only explored a couple possibilities with the major 2. Again, there's nothing you can't try or do or make work. But those are some options. And pretty soon we're going to get into modulation, and we'll probably return to this.